You think they are impressed. You are mistaken. They are not celebrating you. They are studying you. There is a critical flaw in your programming, a vulnerability that society embedded in you from the very beginning. You have been taught that achievement demands an audience. You believe that recognition confirms your worth. You believe that being seen is the same as being powerful. That belief is a trap. In the actual world, the one operating beneath the surface through calculation, patience, and human instinct, displaying what you have, is not confidence. It is exposure. It is a broadcast that reaches every opportunist, every competitor, and every threat in your environment. Here is exactly what I am worth. Here is precisely where you can break me. Come and try. I am going to explain why invisibility is the rarest advantage remaining. I am going to dismantle the machinery of your need for recognition and demonstrate why the most effective operators throughout history functioned without a spotlight. Before this ends, you will understand why the individual who parades their position is already in the process of surrendering it. But you must pay attention because your ego speaks at full volume, and we are here to silence it. Phase 1. The mechanics of the target. Let us remove the ethics from this conversation. I am not here to lecture you about humility or social grace. I have no interest in manners. I am interested in outcomes, and tactically speaking, self-promotion is self-destruction. A Renaissance political thinker wrote that a leader must above everything else avoid generating contempt. Fear is manageable, but contempt fuels uprising, and nothing accelerates contempt more effectively than flaunting privilege before those who have none. When you display your wealth, your relationship, your career advancement, your mental sharpness, you believe you are producing admiration. You are not. You are projecting a shadow across the room, and that shadow lands directly on the insecurities of everyone watching. It exposes their shortcomings. It surfaces their disappointments. It activates an ancient threat detection mechanism in the human brain that registers, this individual possesses resources. I lack, this individual is a danger. You are manufacturing enemies out of people who previously had no opinion of you. Consider the trained marksman. What is the primary principle of their craft? Position concealment. The instant the shooter exposes their location, regardless of how lethal their capability, they become the target. When you share that image of your luxury item, when you casually mention your income in conversation, when you drop influential names to telegraph your connections, you are launching a signal flare into darkness. You are announcing that you exist and possess something worth pursuing, and this world contains an abundance of pursuers. When people observe your advancement, they do not simply register it, they react to it. They begin interfering through bureaucratic delay, through convenient memory failure, through strategic exclusion, through the gradual withdrawal of cooperation. The associate who suddenly cannot find time to assist you. The co-worker who accidentally removes you from the communication thread. This is the price of visibility. You purchased acknowledgement with the currency of your protection. Evaluate that exchange honestly. Silence is cover. In an environment where every individual is demanding attention, the person operating in the background is effectively invisible. And because they are invisible, they are protected. They can reposition. They can act decisively. And nobody detects them until the moment has already passed. Phase 2. The intelligence leak, the blueprint of destruction. This extends beyond jealousy. Jealousy belongs to the emotional layer. This is operational. Information functions as weaponry. Each time you open your mouth to advertise your success, you are surrendering classified data. You are delivering to your adversaries the complete architectural plans of your psychological foundation. When you exhibit something, you are not merely displaying an object or a milestone. You are exposing a priority. You are communicating to everyone present. This is the source of my security. This is what defines my value. If you advertise your financial position, you are communicating that your stability is anchored to your account balance. If someone intends to damage you, they need not target your relationships. They target your economic standing. They threaten your professional reputation. They introduce legal complications. They have located your most sensitive pressure point. If you advertise your intellectual superiority, you are communicating that your identity is constructed around being correct. If someone intends to dismantle you, they need not defeat you intellectually. They simply need to publicly embarrass you. You will deteriorate because they attacked the structural support holding your entire self-concept in place. You are voluntarily distributing the access codes to your own collapse. That same Renaissance strategist advised that a capable leader must be a masterful concealer, never permitting their genuine nature to become transparent. If I understand what you protect, I can threaten it. If I understand what you fear, I can deploy it against you. When you perpetually broadcast the contents of your life, you are dismantling your own defenses. You are unprotected in a room populated entirely by protected individuals. There is a reason why genuinely powerful individuals maintain near total anonymity. You cannot locate their residence. You cannot identify their personal relationships. You cannot anticipate their upcoming decisions. They function within a complete information vacuum. And because you possess no data about them, you cannot influence them. But you have made yourself completely transparent. I can construct a comprehensive psychological assessment of you within minutes, simply by reviewing your public profile. I can identify your dependence on validation from authority figures. I can identify your instability when your intelligence is challenged. I have complete leverage over you, and I have not yet spoken a single word in your direction. Stop the data hemorrhage. Stop voluntarily delivering the navigation system to your own fortress. Destroy it. Leave them searching in the dark while you observe from elevation. Phase 3. The paradox of signaling. The fraudulent performers announce themselves. Within evolutionary biology, there exists a principle involving costly displays of fitness. A particular bird species grows an elaborate and burdensome tail structure. It creates drag. It reduces escape capability. It invites predator attention. The function is to communicate that genetic quality is so superior that survival remains possible despite this significant disadvantage. But human beings have inverted this principle in a profound way. Within contemporary social hierarchies, the intensity of the signal has become inversely proportional to the underlying reality. The animal that delivers the fatal strike makes no prior announcement. The warning vocalization is an admission of fear. The warning vocalization is communicating reluctance to engage. The actual strike arrives in silence. When you are perpetually performing your toughness, your work ethic, your dominance, you are vocalizing. You are performing a deep and deteriorating insecurity. You are attempting to persuade yourself, not your audience. Individuals with genuine multi-generational wealth do not wear garments covered in brand identification. They wear unmarked natural fibers. Financial matters do not occupy their conversation because financial resources function like atmospheric oxygen for them. It simply exists as a constant condition. You do not regularly discuss your respiratory process unless you are experiencing respiratory distress. If you are discussing it, you are experiencing distress. You are communicating scarcity. When I encounter a person performing intensity of effort to create an impression on me, I do not register authority. I register an internal deficit of self-worth that the individual is attempting to compensate for through external acknowledgement. There exists a particular quality of assurance that emerges from knowing you could act with force but selecting restraint, from knowing you could purchase the entire room but selecting the most modest seat, from knowing you hold the solution but allowing others to contribute first. That is the quality of genuine authority. Every time you post that update, every time you engineer a humble presentation of your achievements, Every time you construct a transparent appeal for positive feedback, you are manufacturing spectacle in exchange for fragments of acknowledgement, and the audience is not reacting with admiration. They are reacting with recognition of the performance. They smell the need beneath the surface. You must eliminate the part of yourself that requires witnessing. It is consuming your potential and producing only diminished outcomes. Phase 4. The economics of mystery, scarcity value, the foundational principle of supply and demand. As the available quantity of something increases, its assigned value decreases. The air surrounding you is essential for your continued existence, yet it carries no market value because it exists in unlimited supply. Your presence, your perspective, your demonstrated capabilities, these function as market commodities. When you saturate the available space with your perspective, when you document every conscious moment, when you operate with total transparency, you are executing an inflationary strategy against your own value. You are making yourself abundant. You are always accessible, always present, always disclosed, and common resources receive indifferent treatment. Common resources are stepped on. But the individual who understands strategic value comprehends the power of manufactured scarcity. If you intend to elevate your perceived value, you must reduce your available supply. You must implement a strategic withdrawal. Consider the creative professional who releases new work annually versus the one who withdraws from public view for an extended period. When the individual who withdrew finally communicates, collective attention consolidates. The audience has experienced deprivation. They assign elevated value because the waiting period created hunger. When you self-promote, you are surrendering your value at no cost to the recipient. Cease this behavior. Engineer a scarcity condition. Deprive them of your presence. Deprive them of information about your activities. When you eventually do reveal something, a project developed in private for years, a capability refined away from observation, it arrives with the impact of a significant revelation. It carries substance. People respond to substance with respect. Additionally, cease announcing your intentions in advance. A documented behavioral phenomenon demonstrates that when you share your objective and receive positive feedback, your neurological reward system activates before the achievement has actually occurred. You tricked your own brain into releasing the reward signal prematurely, and because the reward has already been received, the motivational drive required to complete the actual effort is substantially diminished. You verbally eliminated your own ambition. Silence preserves the internal pressure gradient. Allow it to reach levels that create genuine urgency. Allow it to propel you forward with a momentum that demands your full respect. Do not exchange your potential for a brief neurochemical reward generated by a stranger's acknowledgement. Become rare. Become scarce. Phase 5, the master and the slave, the validation trap. When you self-promote, your interpretation is that you are asserting your position at the top of the hierarchy. But examine the actual relational dynamic with precision. Who is delivering the performance? Who is evaluating the performance? The performer occupies the subordinate position. The evaluator occupies the superior position. When you promote yourself, you are submitting a formal application for approval. You are communicating, "Please assess me as worthy." You are voluntarily transferring decision-making authority to the evaluator. By attempting to position yourself above everyone in the room, you have effectively elevated the entire room above you. You have elevated the collective reaction of an undifferentiated audience to the status of your highest authority. When the response is positive, you experience elevation. When the response is absent, you experience collapse. Your psychological condition is no longer operating under your own governance. It has been delegated to the unpredictable preferences of individuals you would not necessarily choose to respect in any other context. Is that an accurate description of genuine strength? No, that is a description of conditional existence. The individual who has achieved genuine psychological authority has no requirement for the approval of those who occupy lower positions in any hierarchy. The apex predator does not seek the prey population's assessment of its hunting performance. The apex predator pursues its objective. The evaluative opinions of others have zero relevance to the predator's continued effectiveness. To achieve genuine psychological invulnerability, you must sever this dependency entirely. You must release your audience from their role in your psychology. Reach a condition of internal structural integrity where your own evaluation of your actions constitutes the only relevant feedback. I executed this effectively. I executed this poorly. That represents the complete feedback loop. When you stop executing the performance, your audience stops experiencing you as a form of entertainment. They begin experiencing you as a substantial presence, a consequential force. They may not experience warmth toward you, but they will deliver respect because they will arrive at the recognition that you have no requirement of them. And in an environment populated by needy and loud individuals, the individual who carries no requirements is the individual who holds the greatest leverage. Phase 6. The Law of the Gray Man. Strategic mediocrity. Within the professional intelligence community, there operates a concept referred to as the gray man. The gray man represents the most effective and dangerous operational asset in any environment. Not through physical superiority, not through the most advanced equipment, but through the complete absence of memorability. This individual moves through an environment, acquires the necessary information, and exits. If you subsequently asked every person present for a description, they would encounter significant difficulty. Moderate build, unremarkable features, nothing that generated a specific impression. You must apply this principle to the structure of your own life. When you self-promote, you are elevating yourself to the status of a person warranting specific attention, creating grounds for examination and active competition. The gray man renders himself in the lowest visible contrast. The vehicle is functional and unremarkable. The clothing communicates no specific aspiration. The conversational topics are safely conventional. But beneath the surface of that complete ordinariness, an empire is being constructed in absolute silence. The financial position is developing compounding momentum in silence. The cognitive capability is being sharpened in silence. The network of strategic relationships is being extended in silence. Obscurity functions as protection. When your appearance communicates ordinariness, the defensive postures of those around you dissolve. You are not processed as a threat, and therefore no countermeasures are activated against you. If you arrive to a negotiation wearing a high-value timepiece and precision-crafted attire, the opposing party immediately thinks this individual commands significant resources. Our pricing structure requires adjustment upward. But if you arrive with the presentation of an unremarkable professional operating under pressure, the opposing party relaxes. They process themselves as holding the strategic advantage. And that is precisely the moment of your strategic action. You leverage their underestimation as your primary tactical instrument. The individual who actually holds authority frequently appears identical to the facility's staff until they authorize the transaction. There is a profound liberation available in being consistently underestimated. It permits unrestricted movement through social structures and commercial relationships without triggering the defensive responses these systems have developed to neutralize identified threats. Phase 7, the reverse brag, weaponized humility. The conventional self-promoter inflates their presented status. The practitioner of the reverse demonstration deflates their presented status as a method of concealing their actual capability. This represents the highest level of social influence. When an acquaintance asks about the current state of your professional activities and you report exceptional performance and significant financial milestones, you have activated envy. You have activated requests for financial assistance. You have activated competitive positioning from rivals. But consider describing the environment as persistently demanding, characterizing current market conditions as creating significant operational friction, suggesting that the primary objective is maintaining basic operational continuity. The emotional response shifts to sympathy. Your threat profile is eliminated from their active assessment. They may even disclose their own operational difficulties, providing you with valuable intelligence about their structural weaknesses. You have achieved 3 distinct tactical advantages simply by declining to advertise a positive outcome. This is not deception. This is information management. You operate under no obligation to deliver a complete and accurate status report to your neighbors, your extended family members, or your social media connections. Present apparent weakness when genuine strength exists. If your actual position is strong and your presented position is also strong, you have simply created a target. If your actual position is strong and your presented position communicates vulnerability, you have constructed a trap. Function as the trap. Allow others to provide you with guidance you do not require. Allow them to maintain the comfortable belief that they are operating with greater sophistication. And then, when the moment requiring decisive action arrives, you introduce the decisive element. The impact of your demonstrated capability will temporarily prevent processing in your opposition. They will be unable to reconcile their prior assessment with current reality. The cognitive incompatibility will disrupt their entire decision-making process. And while they are frozen, you have already secured the outcome. Phase 8, the physics of hate, the evil eye. Every civilization across the full span of recorded human history has developed specific terminology for this phenomenon. Ancient Mediterranean cultures identified it with their own linguistic markers. Eastern civilizations developed the concept of a harmful gaze directed through jealousy, the belief that concentrated envy can produce actual material harm to its target. Process the underlying mechanism through the framework of psychological energy and behavioral influence. When a substantial population directs sustained negative psychological energy and active hope for your failure toward you, does that produce zero measurable effect? When you carry the awareness that hostile attention is consistently directed at you, your behavioral patterns shift, you develop heightened vigilance, your performance becomes constrained. You begin introducing doubt into your decision-making processes. This is the measurable effect of directed envy. When you self-promote, you are actively inviting this radiation into your life structure. There is substantial documentation of individuals who receive sudden significant financial windfalls, subsequently experiencing financial collapse, relationship dissolution, or serious personal harm within a relatively brief time frame. They exhibited the prize, and the social structure dismantled them in response. To protect the integrity of your peace, you must protect the privacy of your life. Maintain your significant positive outcomes within a genuinely trusted circle, and that circle should be minimal in its membership. Every instance of sharing a positive outcome with an individual who does not carry genuine investment in your well-being is an act of converting that positive outcome into a negative liability. You are transforming an asset into a vulnerability. Japanese aesthetic philosophy contains a concept that translates roughly as the beauty that exists in concealment and restraint. A botanical bloom that fully develops in a forest environment, in the complete absence of any observer, remains in full possession of its beauty. Your life should operate according to that principle. Allow the positive experience to exist for your own benefit. Allow the achievement to remain in your own possession. Phase 9, the void of power, the God mode. If you eliminate the self-promotion, if you eliminate the dependency on external validation, if you implement the gray man principle, if you embrace the discipline of silence, what is the resulting acquisition? You acquire the ultimate available prize. the prize that cannot be obtained through any financial transaction, complete internal sovereignty. You become the singular governing authority of your own psychological world. When you no longer carry a requirement for external witnessing of your capability, you have effectively achieved an untouchable operational state. You are internally self-sufficient. You are internally self-validating. This invincibility mode is achieved when the evaluations of others no longer penetrate your psychological armor. You move through the barriers created by social expectation. The behavioral patterns of the conventional competitive hierarchy no longer constrain you because you have exited that hierarchy. You are observing it from a removed position. You observe the participants competing destructively with each other for incremental advantages, depleting themselves in pursuit of objects they do not genuinely require in order to create impressions on people they do not genuinely respect. And you simply maintain your breathing. You have achieved freedom. Your social media engagement metrics operate within the control of external parties. Your reputation operates within the control of external parties. But your discipline around communication, that remains within your control. Your sustained behavioral consistency, that remains within your control. Your privately held achievements, those remain within your control. When you recover these elements, you recover the governing authority over your own experience. You exit the role of a supporting character in a narrative authored by others and assume the role of the author. The author operates in the background. The author directs everything. Assume the authorial role. Cease competing for positioning within the frame of the story. The next time you experience a genuinely significant positive outcome, the next time that internal pressure builds that communicates you must share this with someone, do not follow that directive. Reject it. Absorb that energy. Contain it within your own system. Register the internal burning sensation. It will generate genuine discomfort. That is the sensory experience of your capability expanding its operational boundaries. That is the sensory experience of your internal resources accumulating toward critical mass. Do not discharge that accumulation. Move through your daily environment with the awareness that you are carrying a concentrated power source that your environment has no access to. Observe the effect on your physical presence. Individuals will direct their attention toward you and experience a quality they cannot immediately identify. What does this individual know? What is the source of that particular quality of assurance? They will register the gravitational field you are projecting, and you will arrive at the recognition for the first time in your life that you have no requirement of their acknowledgement. Your awareness is sufficient and complete. You have entered the domain of the genuinely exceptional individual, the domain of the individual who operates in the background with complete effectiveness. It requires a tolerance for isolation in this domain, but it is an authentic existence. Subscribe if you have not yet done so. But if your objective is access to the protected material, activate the membership function and enter the advanced level. You will gain access to exclusive content that operates at the deepest levels of psychological analysis. The majority of people will not make this choice. That is the precise nature of the value.